They ghosted you. They ignored your messages. They made you feel like you had to prove your worth. Explain yourself. Chase validation that was never yours to begin with. But here's the truth. The moment you stop chasing, stop begging, and stop explaining is the moment you reclaim all your power. Because silence, real disciplined silence, is not weakness. It's the loudest statement you'll ever make. And in the philosophy of Stoicism, silence is not avoidance. It's mastery. 1. The power shift of silence. When you stop reacting, something powerful begins to happen. The entire dynamic shifts. The moment you no longer rush to respond, to defend, or to explain yourself, you create a kind of energy that others can feel, and it's unshakable. You see, most people are addicted to noise. They thrive on drama, arguments, attention, and validation. They expect a reaction. They feed on it. When someone disrespects you, ignores you, or tries to provoke you, they're not always seeking truth. They're seeking control. They want to see if they can manipulate your emotions, make you chase, or force you into proving your worth. But when you remain silent, not because you're weak, but because you've mastered your emotions, they lose that control instantly. Your silence becomes unpredictable. It confuses them, disarms them, and even makes them question themselves. They start to wonder, why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he fighting back? That's when your silence begins to speak louder than your words ever could. A Stoic man understands this deeply. Stoicism teaches that true power comes from self-control, from mastering what's within you, not chasing what's outside of you. You can't control people, events, or opinions, but you can control your response. And silence is the purest form of that control. Silence doesn't mean indifference. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you value your peace more than proving a point. It means you've chosen to respond from logic, not emotion. It means you've learned the difference between reaction and response. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, heard, and validated, the one who remains calm and quiet stands out. People start to sense that you're different, that you're not desperate to be understood or accepted. You radiate a sense of confidence that words can't fake. Because silence, when it comes from strength, is magnetic. Think about it. How often have you seen someone lose respect for themselves by over-explaining, overreacting, or begging for attention? The more they talk, the smaller they appear, but the one who says little, who listens, who observes, he commands attention without demanding it. That's the power shift of silence. It transforms you from the one being controlled to the one in control. It turns weakness into strength, reaction into reflection, and chaos into calm. The next time someone tries to pull you into their storm, don't speak, don't explain, don't defend, just be still. Because in that silence you show the world something rare, a man who cannot be provoked, only observed. That's the beginning of true Stoic power. 2. Never chase, never beg, never explain. Let's break this down. 3 simple principles that separate a man who's controlled by emotions from a man who's guided by wisdom. Never chase, never beg, never explain. These are not just words of pride. They are the pillars of inner power built on the foundation of Stoic discipline and self-respect. Never chase. When you chase someone, whether it's a woman, approval, or attention, you're sending a clear message. I need you more than I need my peace. That's where you lose your power. Chasing is rooted in fear. Fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. But a Stoic man understands that what's meant for him will never require chasing. He doesn't run after people or force situations to stay. He allows life to unfold naturally with patience and composure. When you stop chasing, you stop running away from yourself. You start focusing that energy inward on your growth, your purpose, your peace. And ironically, that's when things begin to chase you. Because nothing is more attractive than a man who's completely content in his own silence. Never beg. Begging destroys respect. The moment you plead for someone's attention or affection, you strip away your dignity. You show them that you'll tolerate disrespect just to remain in their life. But here's the truth. Anything gained through begging will always require more begging to keep. You'll become trapped in a cycle of need, chasing crumbs of validation that will never satisfy you. A Stoic man refuses to beg, not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. He understands that walking away in silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. When you stop begging, you create space, and in that space, people start realizing your worth. Your silence forces them to reflect on what they lost. Never explain. You owe no one an explanation for your boundaries, your standards, or your peace. When you over-explain yourself, you give others the power to question your decisions and your values. People who truly understand you don't need explanations, and those who demand them are often just looking for weaknesses to exploit. Silence, in this sense, becomes your defense. You don't need to justify why you didn't respond to that message, why you walked away, or why you choose solitude. Your actions, your calm, and your detachment say enough. In the eyes of a Stoic, chasing, begging, and explaining are forms of attachment, ways of seeking control in things that are not ours to control. Letting go of these habits isn't about coldness, it's about liberation. When you stop chasing, you attract. When you stop begging, you command respect. When you stop explaining, you protect your peace. That's when silence stops being passive and becomes your greatest form of power. 3. The Stoic way of responding to disrespect. It's one of the greatest tests of your emotional discipline. Most people, when they feel insulted, ignored, or misunderstood, react immediately. They raise their voice, fire back, or try to set the record straight. But a Stoic man, he doesn't do any of that. He understands that disrespect says more about them than it ever will about him. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And that line carries a truth that most people never understand. When you mirror someone's disrespect with more disrespect, you become just like them. You hand over your control, you let their behavior dictate your emotions, and that's exactly what a Stoic refuses to do. The Stoic way is not about pretending that disrespect doesn't hurt. It's about not allowing it to disturb your inner peace. The Stoic man recognizes that he can't control the opinions or actions of others, only his response to them. When someone disrespects you, they're inviting you into a fight. But you don't have to accept that invitation. Your silence, your calm, and your composure are your greatest weapons. When you don't react, you send a message. Not of weakness, but of strength. You show that you've evolved beyond petty conflict, that you've built a wall of emotional control so strong no insult can penetrate it. People expect you to argue, defend, or explain. When you do none of those things, they lose their grip on you. They begin to see that their words have no power, and that realization is more painful to them than anything you could have said in return. Disrespect is a test of your self-mastery. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy, but the true test of strength is staying composed when your pride is under fire. A Stoic man knows that every insult is an opportunity to practice restraint. Every attack is a chance to sharpen his emotional armor, and every moment of silence in the face of disrespect is a declaration of inner power. When they ignore you, remain still. When they mock you, remain grounded. When they spread lies, remain truthful to yourself. Because silence doesn't mean you accept their behavior. It means you refuse to stoop to their level. It means you value your energy too much to waste it on noise. In a loud, reactive world, your silence becomes unsettling. It reflects their chaos and your control. That's why the Stoic man's greatest strength lies not in his words, but in his restraint. So when disrespect comes, don't fight it, don't explain it, don't chase closure, simply rise above it. Because when you stay silent in the storm, you don't just win the moment, you win yourself. Silence is not empty. It's full of answers. It shows that you've mastered your emotions, detached from validation, and learned to let go. That's what makes you untouchable. So remember, never chase, never beg, never explain. Because the moment you do none of these, you'll realize the strongest voice you'll ever have is your silence. And in that silence, you'll find peace, power, and freedom.